Hello and welcome to Cindy's Adventures in Stitching. This is episode 21, just like my age, and here's cheers to mental health and hobbies. We have a lot to talk about today, so we're going to jump right in. We happen to be in the totality zone of the solar eclipse that occurred on Monday, I believe it was the 8th of April. And a week ago today, we drove to Pittsburg, Pennsylvania, to the Steel City Stitchers Retreat. Had a wonderful time. Met so many great people. I had gotten acquainted with Angie and Jean at Stitch Away in Cincinnati, and they invited me to come to the Steel City Stitchers Retreat. Of course, not wanting to miss out on a good time, Sam said he would drive me because he had some work that he could do in that area. We also have another channel called The Adventures of the Memory Makers, and that's about teardrop campers and modifications. And in a way, Sam was kind of pimped out our teardrop, and so he was going to go do some work for some people. So he was busy Friday during the day, busy Saturday during the day. That left me all day to stitch with my new friends, and we had a wonderful time. Our table had a theme, and it was all about frogging. And we had a mascot. His name was Fergus, and a wonderful, sweet lady named Pam made me my very own Fergus. And he happens to be a voodoo doll that you can use when you're aggravated because you have to frog. So you can take your pin, you can poke at Fergus, he doesn't mind, and you can take all of your frustrations out on Fergus. So he will be in all of my floss tubes from here on out.
I needed Fergus the other night.
Yeah, you definitely did while you were working on campers.
I had to frog 6 feet a stitch.
Oh.
And it was really tight.
6 feet? That's a lot.
Yeah, it was a major error.
You shouldn't make mistakes like that.
I won't do that again.
Yeah, well, see, that's good. You learn from your mistakes. But all of this is from the ladies that were at my table, who were so generous and included me and just acted like they were fine with me sitting there with them. All of them so sweet. I mean, they all have a frog theme.
This is funny. So they give you frog themes. You give them peanut butter whiskey.
Which they happen to love, by the way.
Yeah, it didn't last long.
No, it did not. But look at this. Look at this fabric that my new friend Margie found, and she made book covers for everyone. I mean, it's just as cute as it can be. They went to so much trouble. I've got a jar for my orts. I've got a little pin cushion, lots of green floss, a cute little, Bernie and Lisa made this, and they put scissors in there. So sweet and very well made and so cute. And then Angie and Jean had this little bag, and it was filled with all kinds of fun things. We have cookies, we have candy, we have scissor fobs. We have a toothbrush that's in the shape of a frog, which I know my grandkids are going to fight over. And then we've got frog stickers, and we've got candy from, I believe Judy or Kim had that. And then we've got a stash of different kinds of tea. You name it, they were generous enough to share with me, and I so appreciate it. And here's what I have found. Now, I've not attended a lot of retreats, although
They're racking up.
They're racking up. And here's the thing. I would rather save up to go to retreats than to save up and buy things like clothes or shoes or things for the house, because I'd rather have the experience of going to the retreats. Because what I'm finding is I saw several familiar faces. So a lot of the ladies that have been to other retreats that I've been to, which haven't been a lot, were also at the Steel City Stitchers Retreat. And those ladies were so sweet. The guest designer was Dirty. It still makes me laugh when I say it, Dirty Annie. And she kind of explained how she got that
I'm glad
name.
you told me that was her name after I met her.
Yeah, we kind of had dinner together Friday night, but it was, she was so sweet. She's from Texas, and how she got the name really doesn't have anything to do with being dirty. So,
Do we have a picture of the possum?
I don't know. I don't think I took a picture of a possum.
That was the best.
I know. She said that they have a pet possum and they paint his fingernails. So
They had great pictures too.
if you can just imagine. No, she just showed us the picture. She didn't share the picture with us, but really had a good time. There was a gal there who had her picture of her wedding day transferred or transformed onto a chart, and she was doing a full coverage chart, and I have a picture of that we'll show. It was amazing. She said she'd been working on it for 3 or 4 years, and her goal was just to get it done by the time they had their 20th wedding anniversary. So the progress that she's making, no question, she'll get it all done. But the best story of the retreat is the night that we got there, Friday night. Was it Friday night? No, Thursday night.
Thursday. Yeah.
It was Thursday night. And so I was sitting with other Pittsburg ladies that are in that stitching group called Stitching in the Berg. And one of the gals she asked me where I was from. This was Bernie, and she asked me where I was from. I said, Indiana. And she said, you know what? I know Diane and Marcia from Indiana. She said, well, Marcia's from Ohio, but Diane's from Indiana. And I'm thinking, no way, that's the same. My really good friend Diane and her really good friend Marcia, no way, it's the same gals. She's continuing to talk, and all of the characteristics lined up. And I said, you got to be kidding me. You're talking about my neighbor. And so we took a selfie. I sent it to Diane, and of course, she's funny, and she said, stay away from those ladies. They're bad news. They'll get you in trouble. But what a small world that these ladies from Pittsburgh happen to know my dear friend Diane and her really good friend Marcia, who I think is going to become my really good friend as well. So it was just a wonderful time. So we got up early on Sunday morning because of the total solar eclipse that was headed our way. We had been warned that there was going to be a ton of traffic on the roads. Our small town is what, 20,000 people, would you guess?
Yeah, give or take.
Give or take. And they said, we can expect as many as 30,000 people. Go to the grocery store before the weekend. Get your car filled up. If you have extra empty gas cans, get those filled up, because the visitors may just ravage the shelves and take all the gas.
They came across the radio with an emergency announcement saying that it could take 4 to 8 hours to cross our town on Monday afternoon.
Which is how many miles would it say to get across town? 2, 3 miles?
Maybe 4 from the far west to the far east.
Mm-hmm.
But in the end, I think we maybe had 2,000 to 3,000 people show up instead of 30,000 to 40,000. But,
it worked out great for me because they called off school on Monday. We got in on Sunday, so that gave me Monday to get laundry done and get things put away. So it was great. But they even had contingent plans that we wouldn't have school on Tuesday because traffic would be so bad and buses couldn't get across town. But that didn't end up happening. We ended up going to school. But I tell you, it was, I can't say I was a naysayer, but I had really no idea how totally cool that experience was for the total eclipse, because it was, I mean, I can see how it would be a spiritual experience, or someone who's maybe really in tune with their emotions and how they could become emotional over it, because it was pretty darn cool. Glad we got to do it. And the next one is in 20 years, and I'll be 85, and it's not going to be around here. We'd have to drive to Montana.
Wait. 20 plus 21 is 41.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah. You let the jig up there.
I know. I should have kept my big mouth shut, shouldn't I? But anyway, it was really cool. Wouldn't you say it was a neat experience?
Oh, it was. I was starving, munching chips and salsa and drinking wine. And to me, it was just so neat to see how little the sun, how much light it put out.
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't until it completely disappeared
that we went dark.
Yeah, and it wasn't total dark, but it was...
It was pretty dark.
It was pretty dark, yeah.
I mean, security lights came on and the birds stopped chirping and the temperature dropped dramatically. I'd say probably 10 degrees.
But it was like a sheet being pulled over when the final 1 or 2% was covered up. And the shadow was traveling at like 1,500 miles per hour.
That's amazing.
So that's how fast that shadow,
Hard to even imagine how
crossed
fast
over
that
us.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty neat. Like I said, I was surprised at how cool it was.
I thought the trip home was pretty neat. We stopped and bought machine number 14 and walked in, and it was quilting retreat, wasn't it? Like a little mini quilting retreat.
So you got on Facebook and Facebook Marketplace and found this a 48?
So it's a 55 because Scotty's a 56, so it's a 55.
1955 Singer sewing machine that had just been redone. I don't know if it was retimed, but oiled and cleaned and serviced and everything. And the lady whose house we went to pick it up on our way home was so nice. She used to own a quilt shop, and she was having a sewing retreat in a sewing room in her house, which I was pretty envious of that sewing room.
It was a nice room.
It was big and it had tons of natural light. It was pretty cool. And the ladies in there were all really nice. And a couple of them were cross stitchers. So it was fun it's just fun to connect with people that have the same hobbies and likes that you have. So from there, we went to the Ohio Valley Antique Mall because we left so early in the morning. We had all this time and we didn't really have to be home at a certain time.
And there was no traffic.
And there was no traffic.
We kept asking, where is everybody?
I know, it was crazy. So I bought a couple things, not much, but I bought this frame that I will use for a cross stitch. I thought it was the ladies got to go. I actually think that might be a fan. If you look at the outline of it,
Oh, could be.
I think that's a handheld fan. Yeah. So I thought this was a good size. I'll use this, repurpose it for cross stitch framing. But the best thing I found is
you could hear the squeal across the store when she found this.
To me, this looks like something my grandma would have made. This is, I'm sure, hand stamped, and whoever made it put so much time and effort into it and did a beautiful job. All of the blocks are 2-color thread. So that yellow's 2 colors, the green's 2 colors, the pink is 2 colors, the blue, the orange. Now I did notice that the orange thread didn't really hold up as well. I'm not sure why that is, but the brown is 2 colors. And if you look at the edge of the quilt, she put a lot of detail into it. And it's all hand stitched. It's been hand quilted. It would take me years to do something like this. And I said to Sam, we need to take this home with us and give it a home and give it lots of love. So I think I'll put it on the bed that the grandkids sleep on. I did wash it.
I think the travesty of it is what you gave for it.
I know I only gave $85 for it.
I feel sorry for the person that labored all those hours.
I do too. But you know what? That's not uncommon in antique stores or in thrift stores. Someone who obviously this was their hobby, they did it probably like my grandma did in the wintertime. They set up their quilting frame and they left it up all winter. And they spent hours and hours and hours. And what's sad is that obviously no one in the family wanted it, and it was just probably put into an auction and probably thrown in a box with other stuff. So I did see a quilt label the other day that said, if I'm giving this to you, if I find it after I'm dead and gone, if I find it in a thrift store, I'm going to haunt you for the rest of my life, or the rest of your life. And I thought, I kind of get it, because, you spend so much time.
That was a really good deal, because I bought you a few quilts and they weren't $80.
No. I know at the retreat, a lady said that she'd made a quilt for, I think, a daughter-in-law, and they had a party, and the daughter-in-law or the son, somebody wrapped it around the keg. I think I might go up to that keg and take it off. I don't know, and take it home with me. But
could take that as a compliment in some strange way, but
yeah. I don't really think so. But someone who doesn't, I do think this, someone who doesn't do a lot of handmade stuff do not understand the hours that a person puts into it. But that's a chance you take when you give your things to other people. they may not appreciate it as much as you do.
You've told me several times that there's no money in sewing.
I'm not in my sewing. Maybe money in other people's sewing, but I don't think there's any money in my sewing. So, having said all that about the eclipse, got a new start. So, I kind of had to fudge on this a little bit. My new start is going to be by the Nebby Needle, and it's called I Live in the Garden, and it has to do with being outside in nature, and that's why I thought I would choose that as a new start. Now, when I say it's my eclipse start, it is my eclipse start. But here's the thing. I didn't plan ahead enough to have my floss purchased and sent here. Now, I will say this too, and it's kind of not my fault. I thought the Crafty U, which was a pop-up shop at the retreat, would have floss, and they did not. They had fabric, and they had lots of charts, and they had lots of models, and it was a great pop-up, but they didn't have any floss. The reason why I thought there'd be floss is because when I went to Stitch Away, Keepsakes was the pop-up shop and also the sponsor of Stitch Away. She had a ton of floss, so that's why I just assumed there'd be floss there, but there wasn't. So I had to order it after I realized that there wasn't any floss. So here's my floss to go along with that chart.
So a little floss-related story. We get there on Thursday, and Cindy didn't have enough black floss. So she sends me to Hobby Lobby to get black floss and...
more peanut butter whiskey.
Oh, that wasn't a Hobby Lobby, though. Party bags, the little bags. Yeah. So I don't go to Hobby Lobby very often. I don't have any reason to. I've been there a time or two with Cindy. I have no idea where anything is. I now know how she feels when I send her to Harbor Freight to get something.
Thank you.
Because I walked that whole store. I asked several ladies. They were hollering across rows, I got this. You see that?
Can anybody help this poor man in the embroidery floss section?
So by the time I got to the liquor store to get more peanut butter whiskey, I needed help.
Well, the peanut butter whiskey was a big hint, or a big hit, not hint. But my gift to everybody was tweezers and some floss and peanut butter whiskey and this little brush thing to flick away your...
Do you ever feel like a slacker?
All the time. Are you kidding me? Yes, all the time.
I just want to make sure.
Yeah, and I usually feel bad about it, but then, the next opportunity arises and I think I'm going to do better. And usually I don't, so I'm kind of accustomed to it.
How are you coming on the next one?
Yeah, well, I do have some time, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But anyway, so this is my cloth that I bought from the Crafty U. It's 36 count linen by Atomic Ranch Fabrics. And what I love about it is it's got a little hint of green. You might not be able to pick that up, but I think it's going to be great for this chart. So there you go. I'm excited to do that. And so I've decided it's kind of like your birthday. You have your birthday week.
Oh, you have a birthday month.
I know, I do, but typically it's a birthday week. So this is my eclipse week. So I'm going to start on this tomorrow, and I'm going to count it as my eclipse start because I think it's perfect. So
is this like the project you were going to finish in February and when you were in March and talking about it? You were going to start it in February, and the video we were doing was in March.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I find I do better with gray than I do black and white. Whether it's boundaries, dates, anything like that. I do better with the gray than I do black and white.
Oh, that's a new one.
All right, so let's talk about whips. I've got several.
That's a lot of floss.
I know. That's kind of my point. So.
No, back on that one.
Yeah, this is long term. This is going to be, if I get this done a year from now, I'll be pretty doggone happy. So it's called Rainbow Cross Stitch Sampler by Emblem Designs, and I got it off of Etsy, and you can still get it. And they also have a version that's not green and blue, but it's pink and red. So this is floss for, I think, 3 rows, and that's how I decided to do it.
Holy smokes.
Yeah, because there's a lot of colors, and each little block is a color.
So it kind of changes shades from corner to corner.
It does, and that's what I love about it. I love ombre.
Well, hopefully the scan shows that, because The camera's not going to pick it up.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, probably should. So
That's big.
I know it's going to be huge. So it's going to go upstairs where the grandkids sleep because I got that big section of the wall. But I tell you, I love it. And it's a quick stitch because, you know, each little block is not that big and you feel like you've gotten something accomplished. So I really, really like this and it's really fun. And when I bought this chart, I remember thinking, I'll probably never get that done, but I think I will. I've changed my mind. So this is what I worked on when I went to the retreat called Happy Camper, and I'm just kind of doing sections at a time, and I am a very sequential person, so I have to finish one section, then I'm going to do the next, then I'm going to finish that, then I'm going to do the next. And where I know some people will do all of one color, I felt like with this, I want to do a section at a time. And this is being stitched on cloth I got years ago at Hobby Lobby. It's 28 count Monaco. It's not real soft when you're stitching on it, but it doesn't stretch. I mean, you can see as and there have been some pieces of cloth that are really stretchy. I don't care for that. So I'm not mad about choosing this Monaco to stitch on. I kind of like it.
Well, just for the record, I do know where the cloth is at Hobby Lobby because I went around that several times looking for floss.
You know where it is in that store, but that doesn't mean that's going to be where it is in the next store.
You know, male logic would say put the floss next to the cross stitching.
Yeah, it
material.
usually is.
Yeah, not in that store.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, you got more steps in that way.
Oh, I got my steps in. Yeah.
Okay,
Made new friends.
And what?
Made new friends.
See, isn't that what it's all about? That's why I started Floss Tube in the first place. And now you're making new friends because of Floss Tube.
Well, I tell you, the girls there, they were a hoot. We had a good time chatting with them.
Yeah, they were really fun. They were really fun. So, this was also what I worked on at the retreat. And this is called To and Fro. And the designer is Open Road Abode Needleworks. And what I've done is I'm trying to use the same colors in both of these charts. So as you can see, they've got buttons for the O's. Now, they also have buttons where the wheels go, but if I'm going to stitch those wheels, I'm not covering that up with a button. Now, I am going to use buttons for the O's. Off we go, to and fro, but I haven't gotten to the 2 yet. But anyway, you can tell they did theirs all in one color, but I wanted to kind of spice it up a little bit. So these will probably be pillows in a big basket together along with the charts of the states that we visit. But this has been really fun and I like it. So those are whips that I am going to get done. I did not have an Easter start because my brain just couldn't allow me to start another project without finishing one first. So I'll get an Easter start next year, hopefully. And then this one, oh my goodness. So glad this is, the only thing I have left to do is the writing up here that says, "And heaven and nature sing." But
I do have a question.
Yes.
Is that going to go in 2.0?
Yes.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. So you want to explain 2.0?
Oh, you can.
Well, you jump in because I probably won't give it justice. So Sam has a deer blind in our woods, and it's what, 4x4?
Oh, it's huge. Yeah.
No, it's teeny tiny.
It's cozy.
No, it's teeny tiny. So we had thought about building a cabin in the woods, and truth be known, I mean, this is 100% honesty, we couldn't agree on the size.
Because you wanted a second house, and I wanted a cabin. And my concern was in the wintertime it'd be so cold in there it'd take forever to heat up and you just wouldn't use it.
So you say. So anyway, I wasn't going to win that battle. I could tell that I was wasting my time. I was wasting my breath. So
we compromised.
We did. I said, okay, how about this? How about you build me a stitching shed and close to our house on our property, and then you can build a bigger deer blind in the woods. And we agreed that that was probably a good solution.
Well, now it's grown. Because we started out with a 6x6 for two of us to sit in. And then somehow it jumped to 10x10. Now it's up to 12x12. You're picking out cross-stitching patterns for the walls. We're calling it a multi-purpose deer blind because she's already planning euchre parties for the deer blind this fall.
Well, it's going to have stairs going up to it.
We've picked out our wood stove. We got the so on our other channel we show the stargazer window that we put in our teardrop. So after 6 nights of staring at the stars, we both agreed the deer blind has to have a stargazer window over the bed. So, and you've always wanted a tree house.
I have always wanted a tree house.
So it's going to be about 12 feet in the air on a ridge. So when you look out the windows, you're going to feel like you're 20 to 30 feet in the air. So
it's going to be pretty cool.
It's getting carried away at this point.
No, it's just, it's usable space.
It is.
That's the way I look at it.
It'll give us a better opportunity to use the property. So
yeah. So we're pretty excited.
It's going to have a gas heater to preheat it. So while we're waiting on the wood stove to heat up, we've got heat because if Cindy's cold, she's not having fun. So the key is to heat it up as quick as we can.
But it doesn't have water.
Not at this point.
Yeah. So, unless you do a water tank or something like that. So it's still primitive.
It'll be interesting.
Well, so if I were going to do an Easter start, and this is going to be my next big start, it's Plum Street Sampler, and the name of it is Live. This is ironic. Live on Little. Yeah. So I bought some fabric at the Crafty U, which I have decided I'm not buying any more fabric unless I know specifically what I'm going to use it for. So this is what the fabric I'm going to use for it, and then I've already bought my floss, and I do love this pattern, but it's a lot of stitches. So I kind of compare it to this Kathy Barrick and Heaven and Nature Sing, because that really was quite a bit of stitches, and I think this will be as well. But boy, do I love the fabric, and I love the blues in this, and it has a sailboat, so that's right up my alley. So that's going to be my new start after I finish the two things I'm working on right now.
So here's a question. How many projects do you have going at one time? I mean, how many unfinished whips are
not that many. I really only have 1, 2, 3. I think I only have 3.
All the others that you've started, you finished?
Yeah.
But it's not uncommon for people to have
Oh,
lots.
my. Some people have 10, 15, 20. And what's funny is a girlfriend of mine told me today that she has a project that she started in 1992, and she still hadn't finished it. So,
but she knows where it is.
She knows where it is, and she sent me a picture of it.
Yeah.
So another thing that I bought at the Crafty U, and this is from the company Modern Hoopla, but I thought it was a great idea. Isn't that cute? So this is one of my antique frames, a Duchess frame, and I can set it on a shelf, but I like the thought of being able to set it down rather than hanging that frame from a wall, because we just don't have that much wall space. So I think...
well, let's just clarify. We don't have that much wall space that doesn't already have something on it.
Well, maybe. That could be. So here is my... what I bought, what I ordered from the Crafty U from Nashville Needlework. They had said, back when we signed up for the retreat, and they sent out emails and stuff, that we could send our Nashville needlework not projects, but orders to them, and then we could pick them up at the retreat. So that's what I did. So I ordered this one, 12 monthly minis by Primrose Cottage. I love these little guys because they're a quick stitch. So then the other really cool thing was this Open Road Abode was a featured designer of the Crafty You at the retreat. So they had all of their charts for $4. Heck, that's practically free. So I got some more to go with my the one that I have going right now. So I've got this, and then I bought this one, which I also thought would be cute in 2.0, Deer Blind 2.0, because kind of stealing from my good friend Krista of the Wildflower Stitcher. She's going to have a deer wall because they have a lot of deer in their neighborhood. And I thought, I like that idea. I'm going to have a wall in 2.0 that has deer and owls because we have owls in the woods and it's really neat to watch them, or hear them, I mean, in the evenings.
Does Krista have a multi-purpose deer blind?
She does not.
Got one on her.
Yeah. We'll have to invite her up so she can see it.
She's in
Oklahoma.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So this is another one, Open Road Abode, and I was looking for, I didn't have any fabric that I thought would go well, so I bought this fabric. Now I know they have it stitched on black, but I think the navy will be great. And this is also Atomic Ranch Fabrics, and it's 32 count linen. And
almost looks like denim from here.
it does look like denim, and it's a pretty close weave because it's over dyed. So I think I can get by with stitching 1/2 on that. So happy about that. And then this is from Summer House Stitchworks, and this is the first in a series, and it's called Faith. And I think I may change those colors a little bit because they don't really go with our house. So I'm thinking I may change that, but I do really like this chart. And then this is another order from Nashville Needleworks, and Praiseworthy Stitches, and it's called Sleigh Ride. I don't know if you can see it, but we'll pop it up on the screen. But this is a little bit more blue than the background that they show, but I think it'll be just fine. I think it'll look good, and I like the modeling on that. So that kind of concludes the haul from Steel City Stitchers. And one more thing, my Book of Days calendar.
Oh, this ought to be good.
Well, here's what I've discovered. It's kind of boring if you don't have stickers. Now, I did pretty well filling in. Like I wrote down when I finished.
I am impressed.
Yeah, and when I started, and I wrote down, the days when I had good intermittent fasting, and when I drank my water.
Now, I saw stickers at Hobby Lobby. You should have told me to get some.
Well, I mean, I'm kind of particular, so.
Gotcha.
So April, I don't have a whole lot written down, but I will. I'm going to try really hard to keep up with that. So there's all of that. And then just very quickly, I want to say thank you very much to new subscribers. Love this name, Monkey Socks.
Monkey Socks.
I wish I had a really creative, stitchy name, but my name's kind of boring. And then thank you also to Margaret P., Marina J., Brenda F., Mona R., Kathy R., Jean Ellen H., Jackie C., Kim J. I wonder if that's my niece, Kim J. Susan L. And one more quick thing before we go. I just want to recommend a book. I know I don't read the books, I listen to the books, but this one is so good. It's by Kristen Hanna, and it's called The Women, and it's about women that served in Vietnam as combat nurses or in other different capacities, and the trauma that they experienced, and then having to get past that, overcome that, and how it's all based on a true story. When they returned. They were often turned away by the VA because the VA said there were no women in combat, and they clearly were suffering from PTSD. And it's just very well written. And in fact, she said in the epilogue that she waited to write this book because she wanted to become a very good author before she wrote it, and it is excellent. And if you grew up during that time, or even if you didn't grow up during that time, it's very poignant and kind of brings back some memories. So I highly recommend. I know anytime you recommend a book, you run the risk that there'll be some people that's not their cup of tea, or maybe they're not interested in it. But I think I think there'll be some people out there that would really enjoy it if you read it or listened to it. So that kind of concludes Stitching in the Totality Zone for this time. We got lots of other videos planned. I will say, since I've gone back to work, it's kind of cutting into my stitching time, but I'm sure trying to do my best.
It's cutting into a lot of things.
It is. But I'm done like May 24th, so.
Can't come soon enough.
I know. My next big thing to go to is Paducah, Kentucky, to the quilt show, the American Quilt Society quilt show. I'm looking forward to going to that with friends and family. So anyway, until the next time, happy stitching.